Alright, so what's up, y'all? I hope y'all making today better than yesterday, and this week better than last week. I always challenge yourself to get better. But alright, so in this vlog, I want to talk to y'all about shutter speed. A lot of y'all probably already know about shutter speed, kind of know the basics of it, but this vlog is for those who don't really know too much about shutter speed. So I'm going to get straight into it. Disclaimer, I had to use my son Skyland as a subject to demonstrate the shutter speed. I was literally so anxious to put this vlog out for y'all, to give y'all more content so y'all can learn and y'all can go out this week and apply some of these rules that I ain't feel like waiting until I went to a music video to actually use a rapper. So I'm using my son, so bear with me. Alright, so shutter speed, like they tell you by the book, your shutter speed is supposed to be double your frame rate. Meaning if you're filming at 24 frames per second, you're supposed to double that. So your shutter speed should be 48. Now, nothing's wrong with that, but generally that, to me, based on my experience, that rule kind of applies to film. When you're filming, when you're shooting a movie. Music video is kind of different because in a music video, you're getting a lot of action. The artist doing a lot of hand movement, a lot of energy. So if your shutter speed is too slow, that's going to show up on camera. It's going to be motion blurry. It's not going to be as crisp as you would like it. Now, to each his own, all directors have their own style, but this is generally just my style. Especially when you're going handheld, you giving it that camera movement, you moving it from left and right, up and down. If your shutter is on 48, yeah, it's not going to look the way you need it to look. So here's some examples. The first one is with my shutter at 50. This particular camera that I'm filming on doesn't have a 48 shutter, so it has 50 as the next option up, so I use 50. It looks fine, but you will see that it's still some motion blur in there. When you're swinging the camera from left and right, it's not as clean as it should be. So in this next clip, I bumped my shutter up to 80. So it's going to be a little less motion blur, a little less noticeable, and a little cleaner, crispier look that you may notice. It's not a big difference, but to me, since my eyes are trained, I noticed the difference. Now, me personally, I never really film on 80 as a shutter. For me, my preference is 125. That's whether I'm going handheld. Also, that's whether I have it on a Ronin. And especially if you're shooting on a camera like the Sony A7S II or A7 III or whatever the case may be, and you decide to shoot everything at 60 frames per second. So if you're shooting everything at 60 frames, you obviously have to double your shutter. And the shutter option available on those cameras is 125. So I just double it if I shoot everything at 60. Which gives me the opportunity to slow things down in post and to make it move at 24 frames per second with a click of an option in my editing software. Then I'll just keep my shutter on 125 the whole way through, so I don't have to make any adjustments at all the whole video shoot. In this next clip, I bumped my shutter up to 125. Now 125, like I said, that's what I normally use all day, every day. So 125, I'm cool with that, especially if the song is, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, the energy level is like a 7, 8. You know, it's like cool energy. It ain't waka flocka, you know what I'm saying? But it's cool energy. 125 normally get the job done. Now, especially if your artist is going to give a lot of energy on set, that 125 is going to give you a little better look. When the artist is giving you, you know, a lot of hand motion, jumping up and down, energy, 125 looks pretty good to me. Now, last but not least, I crank my shutter up to 320. Sometimes, based on the light that I have, I'll go 250. Now, if I have enough light and I'm shooting outside, I might crank it up to 320. But this only when you got a turned up song, high energy song, and you got a high energy performer. Because if your performer is full of energy, jumping around, shaking dreads, jewelry everywhere, hands motion, etc., etc. When you crank your shutter up to 250, you really gonna get that look. You know what I'm saying? You really gonna get that look in that music video that you want. Now, I tell you this, when I shoot in 250, I don't shoot the whole video on 250. I'll shoot the majority of the video on 125. Now, when I want to get those super turned up shots, I'll crank it up to 250, 320. As you can see, everything is crispy. You see every hand gesture. You see all the motions. You really can feel it a little bit more when you crank your shutter up. Now it's good to go that high in your shutter for certain shots, but like I said, not the whole video. Some of the DPs that I hire, they prefer to shoot with a lower shutter, but that's their look. I mean, you can shoot with 80, you can shoot at a 60, you can shoot at 80. It just depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting more like a film, dialogue where there's a storyline and it's not a lot of action, yeah, you might want to apply those rules of film. But when you're doing music videos, to me, what's worked for me is a higher shutter. Alright, that's it for today. Y'all make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe. I'm going to be dropping videos weekly to help y'all as much as I can. Go out, make this day better than yesterday, make this week better than last week, make this coming up shoot better than the last shoot. Alright, y'all be blessed.
GT Films.